Hey y'all, it's your girl Fantasia Barrino. That is a long-running inside joke that I really at some point gotta share with y'all, because I feel like for years I've been starting off YouTube videos like, hey y'all, hey girl, looky who's here on time in the name of Jesus. This is something else. Y'all just gonna bless my spirit today. All I gotta do is ask, and this is what I get. All the shade is actually unnecessary. Girl, when are you not at work? When you're not at work, you still at work. So there's that. We're going live in just a little bit with Jaha Zainabu. Talking about mental health and black women. I'm just trying to figure out how to get her on here. So tag her, BJ, if you can. If you could tag Jaha. I'm trying to see if I could do it from my computer too, but she was just not really certain how to get on it a little bit ago. This I want to comment as myself. I don't know if you can tag her if y'all not friends. So I'm gonna try to. We're talking about mental health. My name is EbonyJanice. I am gonna probably say this again in a second, but in the meantime, for playback purposes, I am the founder of Black Girl Mixtape, which is a multi-city, multi-platform lecture series created to amplify and celebrate the voices of black women as authority. And I can't get Jaha here, so just a second. I'm gonna tag myself in it and see if that will help. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Lincoln. Thank you for logging on, talking about black women and mental health. And we're just trying to get Jaha Zainabu on, how to figure out how to log on for her. But in the meantime, we are going to be in Black Girl Mixtape. Like I said, is a live lecture series. It's a multi-platform lecture series that I created to amplify and celebrate the voices of black women as authority. And today's conversation in particular, ultimately what we're doing is just continuing to prove and assert that black women are authority and too often excluded from conversations that impact us, even in particular conversations about blackness, about black womanhood. And so the assertion then that our authority comes from, forgive me, I'm trying to multitask and get Jaha in here at the same time, but our authority comes from not just our education, but our lived experience, our ancestors. I mean, just living this life period, I feel like makes me an authority. But additionally, what adds to my authority is my education, the work that I have been doing in this earth for years anyways. And with that, a couple weeks ago, we were having issues getting somebody else on for some reason. And I'm not really sure what that reason is, but if all else fails, I'll talk about something and we will figure this out again. So I'm sorry, playback people, because, you know, technical difficulties and whatnot. We thought we were set, but alas, here we are. So just a second. And y'all know I always have like a miscellaneous song in my head, but I call myself being zen because I'm in New York for an event and I get kind of anxious before events. So I've been listening to Miles Davis flamenco sketches and it just got me super chill. So I don't even have an ignorant song in my head right now, which is unfortunate because Y'all know I'm good for a good ridiculous song. Y'all know I'm good for a good ridiculous song. So, I think that this live might not happen right now because we're communicating and Jaha can't get on for some reason. So let me see. One last thing that I shall try so we can get this party started right is I will share it and see if she can come on that way. And then with that, which is so appropriate that I was just talking about how I am consistently, whenever there's an event, like I just really struggle with anxiety. And so we're talking about mental health today. That's a real thing, anxiety. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, Shiara, actually she's on Black Girl Mixtape leadership team. We were talking the other day about what anxiety feels like inside, like people really under, just like don't really have a real comprehension of what anxiety really feels like internally. And I'm laughing not because of anxiety, I'm laughing because the way that Shiara described anxiety literally blessed my world. I was telling her that for me, anxiety internally feels like just this kind of knot in my stomach just trying to well up and overtake me a little bit. And she was like, that's nice. Anxiety for me personally feels like somebody's inside of me screaming, what are we gonna do? What's happening? What are we gonna do? And that was only funny, not because anxiety is funny, but that was funny because, my nigga, I know that feeling. I literally know. Oh, here you are. Let me see if I can invite you in now. Yes. Okay. Jaha!
Hey,
I'm so happy.
hey, bald headed.
Look at you talking about somebody bald head. This is the bald head brigade. We're a part of a crew. I was just telling them that I would sing some elevator music before, you know, we could get you on, because every week I always have a really ridiculous song in my spirit before I log on. But I call myself being real chill before I got on, so I don't even have no ratchet song in my head. So if you have a ratchet song that you would like to share, we're available for that.
I'm good.
I was about to say, never mind.
You got big booty hoes? You
I
got
got
big booty hoes?
always. That's always in my spirit. Hi, Jaha. I'm so happy to be talking to you. It's good to see your face.
I'm happy to be talking to you too.
So I want to get right into it. I was introducing, for playback purposes, I was introducing Black Girl Mixtape. Black Girl Mixtape is a live lecture series created to amplify and celebrate the voices of Black women as authority. And so ultimately what we've decided to do is to, with this multi-platform space, to use both our live experiences as we go from city to city, but additionally to use social media as a way to really celebrate Black women's voices and lived experiences as like authenticating their authority. So when I thought about just brilliant Black women that I would like to talk to in this space, of course, you came to my mind. And then additionally, there were like 3 other people on my team that was like, have you asked Jaha yet? And I was like, okay, she's on my list. Can I get to her, please? So everybody was like,
Oh, cool. Thank you.
yeah, everybody was like, let's talk to Jaha soon and very soon. So I'm glad that we're getting the chance to talk. I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself a little bit, both to the people that are watching live and to anybody on playback that just miscellaneously happens to not know who you are.
Okay. My name is Jaha Zainabu. I am a poet, an artist, a mother, an educator, a lover of rainbows, and a friend of Ebony Janice's, supporter of Black Girl Mixtape. I am, so that's enough about me. We'll talk about me when we get into the conversation.
Thank you for that bio, for that introduction of yourself, because it made me think about several years ago. I lived with Jaha very briefly. Remember when I made that those business cards on your computer, and it was like writer, it was like all these things, and you saw it, and you was like, the only thing you don't got on here is candlestick maker. Everything else is on here. It was this long list of stuff. Those were the days. So, Jaha, we're talking today about mental health, and
Yeah.
particularly from this perspective of Black women and mental health. And so I wondered if you could introduce kind of how you enter into this conversation, really asserting yourself in a lot of ways as an authority on this topic.
So I'm not a doctor, but I am have been diagnosed with bipolar and PTSD.
Okay.
So and I deal with I'm bipolar 1. So if you know the difference, there's bipolar 1, there's bipolar 2, and I'm bipolar 1.
I don't know the difference. Do you know? Can you explain a little bit the difference between the two?
I think I don't know the textbook definition, but bipolar, if you have to have bipolar, you want bipolar 2. It's an easier it's an easier, not easy by any stretch of the word. But bipolar 1 is kind of a little bit more off the charts.
Okay.
And that's the diagnosis that I have. But you don't want either one.
Okay. How long have you been
you don't
diagnosed?
wish either one. What's that?
How long have you been diagnosed bipolar?
6 years.
Okay.
6 years. So, and it's been a journey. Like I've always known something was off, since middle school. But my family was like, "Oh, she's an artist. That's her. Oh, she's moody today. Oh, just go take a nap. Just, and it's no fault of my family's, but there just wasn't a conversation for bipolar at that time. There wasn't a conversation for especially Black girls, Black girls and mental illness. It's like, you better get in there and act right. You better, do you want me to give you something to cry about? And it's like, I seriously already have something to cry about. I'm already crying. I'm already in tears. I seriously want to kill myself. So no, I don't want you to give me one more thing to cry about. So it was kind of that. And then dealing with it as an adult. And so dealing with this as an adult at the same time I'm dealing with menopause is not a joke. So at the same time I'm dealing with hot flashes, at the same time I'm dealing with everything that menopause does to you mentally, I'm also dealing with this. I'm also dealing with heavy, crippling depression, which bipolar 1 and bipolar 2 deal with. And depression is crippling, and it just comes from seemingly nowhere. Like, all of a sudden you're cool, and then you just can't get out of bed. Or in my case, like showers became a problem. Like really, like I could get in the shower twice a week, and I was doing good. Like I would have to give myself treats. Like, okay, I took a shower today, so I can I can whatever, Like I could stand in front of the sink and wash up, but actually getting in the shower, I don't know why that was a problem for me, or is a problem for me, but it is.
Do you feel like there has
So
been, you were talking, I just want to say, you were talking about how you have these experiences, just remember a memory of it back to your childhood. Do you feel like your symptoms or the experiences of bipolar has gotten progressive, or that it's like this steady experience of this has always just been the case?
I feel like the more knowledge that I had, being diagnosed helped a lot, because when there was, I didn't want a label, but I needed something. I needed somebody to just to define and put a finger on what was going on. So once that happened, I felt better, not physically, but in my mind, I felt like, oh, okay, it's not because I'm an artist, or it's not because I'm tripping, or it's not because I'm moody. It's not because that. It's like, okay, something I can put my finger on is really going on. Hi Genevieve, my cousin is watching.
Okay.
Um, so it was mostly just that, and these days it's like I deal with suicidal ideation a lot. Um, I deal with it a lot, and it's a side effect. It's one, I deal with it because I deal with it. Um, and two, it's a side effect of the medication that I'm taking. I'm taking some pretty strong meds that have me like, you know what, I could easily check out of here. And right now I'm going through this thing where the mental health facility where I go, I had an incredibly wonderful psychiatrist, and she retired, and I really didn't want to see her go. And then and she would see me once a month, which was perfect because I really needed to be seen once a month. Because I didn't have a therapist at the time. I still don't have a therapist. I just had the, what do we call it, the psychiatrist. But she would also serve as my therapist. And so she left, and then I got a new psychiatrist who could only see me once every 4 months, which, because he was only there on Tuesdays and Thursdays or something weird. And so that sucked hard. And so the last time I saw him, I saw him twice. And the second time I was like, so I'll be leaving, but your new doctor, and I'm like, I had so much anxiety meeting you, dude. Can a doctor get somewhere and sit their ass down somewhere, please?
Talk a little bit about what is the situation that, like, I'm assuming this is about affordability. So, like, talk about how affordability for mental health plays a part in you being able to get the kind of care that you need.
Well, thankfully, I get my meds for free, and I get to be seen for free. But you remember during the whole Obamacare and all that other stuff, I got, what's the name of that company? Kaiser. So I got Kaiser through Obamacare. And then I was able to go to Kaiser for any like physical problem. And then once my mental health facility found out that I had Kaiser, they were going to cancel me because I couldn't have both. So I kind of had to choose between my mental health and my physical health.
Wow.
And yeah, I couldn't have both. And I could be seen through Kaiser's psychiatrist, but Kaiser's psychiatrist was going to give me a prescription, whereas my mental health facility, they give me pills. And I on my own, I can't afford lithium and Prozac and lorazepam and all the other shit I'm taking. So I canceled Kaiser with the quickness and went back to Edelman, my mental health facility. And so thankfully I get it for free, and I don't know how long that will last. Hopefully it will last as long as I need it. But it's likely that I'll be on medication for the rest of my life because I've gone off meds. I've gone off meds 3 times and I was not successful. Like, I was just like, I feel better. I'm strong. I'm free. I'm a positive thinker. I don't need this. And all the other scriptures that go along with that. And I like chucked that in the ocean. And 2 weeks later, I was like, I just crashed. And it wasn't good for me. Like, it just wasn't good for me. So,
but Jaha, you be representing and keeping it real. So I want you to just share a little bit about some of the conversations that happened, whether like in your closer circle when you first got diagnosed. Like, what was the what was the reception of you acknowledging the fact that you had been diagnosed with bipolar?
You know, it was interesting because some people didn't believe me. Um, some of my, you know, I have a close friend who didn't believe me. And so she was like, no, because if you were bipolar, you would have been diagnosed a long time ago. And maybe you need a second opinion, which I did get a second and a third opinion. But I knew, I mean, I know in my heart, like I remember days in middle school when I would be so sad and so low and not have language for it. Mostly because I didn't have a reason, because Jesus loved me, you know. And if I truly believe that Jesus loved me, then you know, what does this say? What makes you an authority? Did you type that?
No. That's somebody else typing that. But just keep
Oh, okay.
asking that for, she pinned it for earlier for when people watch on playback.
Oh, okay. And I remember I would ask my sister, do you ever get down sometimes and you don't know why? And she was like, well, why are you down? What's the problem? You know? And I remember trying to have this conversation with my mother, and it was very difficult. It's still difficult. This conversation is still difficult with my mother. I mean, and I love my mother. We get along and all that stuff, but I think it's a hard conversation. I think it's hard for a mother to hear that her daughter every week wants to kill herself. So that could be a hard, you know. And so my mother is like, well, why aren't you writing? Writers write. Why aren't you painting? And I'm like, fuck it, I'm not sad no more. Okay. Shit. So I was looking at the what makes you an authority question, and it's interesting because I've been asked that before in a conversation about mental health. And I'm not an authority. I'm an authority on my body. I'm an authority on what I go through every day, every week. I'm an authority on these nasty ass pills that I have to take. So I'm an authority on, like, I live with it. I go through it. I live with it.
Yeah, no, that absolutely is the question and the response that we have been, when we started having a conversation about the importance of Black Girl Mixtape, is that there is a system that wants to believe that it knows more about you and your body and your lived experience than you do. So you go
Right.
to, particularly Black women, as far as health is concerned, period, whether it be mental health, whether it be our bodies overall, you go to the doctor and you gotta, if you don't have sense enough to, or knowledge enough, or the language to advocate for yourself, they will give you anything. They will tell you anything. And so being able to say that for yourself, like, I know what my experience has been, like that, like for me, that is what makes you an authority. So those are the things that we're asserting, that what makes me an authority isn't just my education or the fact that I, you know, graduated with whatever magna cum laude. I mean, I did, but that's not the point. The point is my lived experiences is all of those things, like, and the work that I've been doing and the conversations that I've been having, and my grandmother, you know, and my mother, and like seeing the things that they have lived through and processed, like those things qualify me to talk about whatever it is I'm talking about. So I appreciate just that transparency, that like, I didn't go to school for this, but I've been living with this, and so that authorizes me to talk on this a bit more. We got distracted a little bit from that pen, but I wanted to stay right there in that place about how religion kind of kept you for many years from really being able to articulate how you were really feeling or what you were really going through. And I wonder if there are any other kind of social spaces. I mean, you could go a little bit more into that piece, but if there are any other social like constructs that kept you from being able to say, I think I need to go get this checked out, or I think this is something more than just I'm sad or I'm an artist or I'm moody. Like, what other spaces kept you for so many years from going and saying, doctor, can you, help me figure out what this is?
I don't know, not necessarily. It that whole the whole Hotep kind of community, like, you going to the white man for him to give you a pill when all you gotta do is eat right, and don't all you gotta do is eat right, and all you gotta do is don't drink sodas no more, and that's all you gotta do is eat a plant-based diet and say these words in the
No,
morning.
no.
um Hotep Allah, Hotep Allah. um and it was just like, I was like, nigga, I know what the fuck I need to do. And I remember, and I was tired of men telling me what I was feeling. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I was in a relationship with this guy, and I used to have really bad cramps, like just crippling cramps. And he fixed his mouth to tell me, it's not that you have bad cramps, it's that you don't take pain very well. And so that's why it seems like, and it was just, it was those kind of conversations. And then thankfully I didn't belong to a church like that was so, you don't need to take that pill. But
Mm-hmm.
there are some members of the church that I grew up in that were like that,
Mm-hmm.
like, Jesus is all you need.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, Jesus made the pill too. So I was like, I'm gonna go do what's best for me, because I won't be here next week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the suicidal ideations had really gotten that bad. I had already had a plan. I had already had a place.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew the perfect mixture of my sleeping pills and rat poison and
Mm-hmm.
lithium and Prozac.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already up out of here. But I know it's not time for me to be up out of here. I have a son
Mm-hmm.
that needs his mother,
Mm-hmm.
even at 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They still have a baby brain. Um, so, and it's weird how the pills work, because I have the side effect of the pills is suicidal ideation, but you have to take them so that you won't. I'm just a zombie. Like, I'm not the same person that I was
Mm-hmm.
off meds. I'm not the same poet that I was. I can't memorize shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't. It's like, if you don't want me in my book, then you
Don't invite.
don't want me in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Don't invite me.
Mm-hmm.
Call somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty poets out there.
Mm-hmm.
But but there are in churches. Thankfully, I'm the artist in residence for an incredible organization called Woman Preach,
Mm-hmm.
and they're located back east, and they are like feminists, these powerful feminists and womanists,
Mm-hmm.
and like heads of churches and members of churches, and um, from different kinds of different religions. And I really love these women, and I get to perform for these women. I get to be in conversation with these women, and we talk about mental health, and we talk about, we talk about, and things like how the church is like really not been good or not been there for people with mental health
Mm-hmm.
issues. Um, I mean, I have an incredible support,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody said where that's at. If you
Berkeley.
go to womanpreach.org, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see it. Um, so thankfully they exist, and I get to like really be there with them. But this has been a journey for me, and I'm just, I'm freaking stressed out. Like, I'm not depressed these days. I'm stressed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and everything kind of triggers a depression. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm really just trying to walk, trying to breathe, trying to um, just trying to take care of myself. I'm really trying to stay alive. It's really a fight for my literal life.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate. I've said this already, but I'm gonna say this again because I have suffered with depression and daily with
Hmm.
anxiety, and trying to articulate that to somebody that only knows their version of the story about you is interesting.
Hmm.
And then and then the shame around mental health. Like, what you mean you depressed? All the things that you said. God been too good to you for you to be depressed. Yeah, but also
Too blessed to be stressed.
yeah, like that is true. And as
I'm not too blessed to be stressed. I'm blessed and I'm stressed.
I'm not dealing with you. But so I appreciate that transparency because one of the things that, and I know some of the women that are involved in Women Preach, because sometimes I'll be looking at the connections, I'll be like, how do they know each other? So now I get how you know some of the people that I know as well. But I one of the things that I appreciate about this womanist work is that it's literally just having conversations that I feel like really does start to do the work to set us free. Because in conversation, we
Mhm.
realize you're not the only one that is having that experience, right? There are at least I can't even say within my close circle of friends, family, there are 4 women, myself included, having some of the same experiences of depression, anxiety. And with that, I'm constantly having to remind others of this close circle of women friends that while like there's this judgment that we put on, like, oh, she need to get her life together. Last week you couldn't get out of bed,
Thank
but
you.
you can't because that has not been, like, you don't want to articulate that, like you don't want to say that out loud, like my sadness would not allow me to get out of bed. You don't know how to say, like, I don't want to open up my windows, my curtains in the morning because I'm so sad that I don't even want to see the light outside. And so I feel like when we talk about it more, Jaha, that gives us the opportunity to be able to be like, I know that. I know that feeling. I've experienced that.
Are
Like,
mirrors ever an issue?
what'd you say?
Are mirrors ever an issue?
Mirrors are constant. Today, a mirror is an issue. I had to go around the corner and buy a new dress for an event that I'm going to because I convinced myself that I'm ugly. I stood there and
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's my favorite one.
I'm
Can
ugly.
I tell you
I'm
how
ugly.
ugly I am?
I am a
Can I
knuckle.
tell you? And what?
I'm a knuckle.
You're not. I'm so ugly.
No,
My depression, my depression has a voice. So, okay, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. So, I am putting on the show in my friend's back. George, you know George.
yeah.
I'm putting on the show in George's backyard on the 12th, and which I need to. It's kind of a fundraiser show because sometimes artists get behind on the rent, and um, so I was just like sitting up. I just took my pills, and my depression was sitting up with me, and it was like, you know, that's a whack idea, don't you? You know that's whack. You know ain't nobody gonna come see you perform in nobody's backyard. You gonna be you. Why are you trying to embarrass yourself? You know you're gonna embarrass you. You don't. Your new poems are whack. You're not gonna make no money. Why? I love you. I'm just trying to help you out.
Your
You
depression
should
is
kill
such
yourself.
a hater.
My depression is a hater, and
Mm-hmm.
at the end of it, it always says you should just kill yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
really should. You really should. Because Reyes is 20 years old now. He
Mm-hmm.
don't need you. He don't need you.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna get along in this world. He gonna be straight. He tired of you being depressed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
My depression is a
I hate
hater.
her. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we absolutely just got to talk about our own personal experiences more with depression and all of the other like stuff that comes along with the depression, because I honestly feel like we have like just this disassociation, like you don't even like you can't even connect with the fact that there are like all these things that somebody else is saying that they're experiencing. You've experienced at least five of them. You know, if they said 12 things, you've experienced
Right.
five of them. And so it's like we want to other ourselves from this idea that we could be suffering or struggling through something, not constantly saying like the brain is a whole organ. If your heart was having issues, we would not just pray that through. We would go to the doctor and deal with it. So because something is going on in your brain, we probably need to go deal with that properly. You don't have the skill set, and neither does Deacon. Never mind. So I just think it's important for us to talk about it
Deacon
more.
does not, First Lady does not
Hmm.
have the skill set.
She got some skill set, but not that one specifically.
She can teach Sunday school,
I'm
and
gonna
that's great for her.
I'm gonna hang up.
That's great for her. But
Hmm.
I work as a caretaker.
Hmm.
Not a, that sounds like an undertaker. I work as a caregiver.
Hmm.
Um, so I take care of older people, mostly with dementia. But I have a client who doesn't have dementia, and like sometimes the religiosity, it's like, okay, okay. And he's very well, the Bible says this.
Hmm.
What the Bible said, and I'm like, yeah, but and you just suck it up. You just suck it up,
Hmm.
and you just plain them and whatever.
Hmm.
You know, I don't want to say too much because I don't want his family to be on
On this live
his
right now.
family. Right.
With that though, some of the things that I've been doing, because I feel like that is what my ministry is being able to talk about um being able to talk about what the Bible says, being able to talk about scripture, being able to talk about this wisdom, and like also contextualize it and also acknowledge the fact that they're like the Bible does not talk about every single thing that we are going to need to deal with. You know what I'm saying? The Bible didn't know nothing about niggas in skinny jeans. It didn't. It didn't know that that was coming. But here we are.
Or that the world was round.
But here we are. And now we got to
But
process
here we are.
a round world with skinny jeans having niggas. And that is a thing to deal with. It is. So therefore, if we got to deal with that, we need to figure out how to rightly divide the word of truth about what do we do.
Please preach that,
I didn't
because
come
that will preach.
to preach. I didn't come to preach, but I'm just saying
That right there will preach. The Bible didn't know nothing about skinny jeans and niggas. No, it did not.
it did not. It did
It did
not
not
give us.
know that.
It did not give us specifics. So it's important for us to take what the wisdom that was given and figure out how do we deal with this contextually. And the reality is they were not talking about mental illness in the Bible. You were considered that you were possessed by a demon if you had bipolar probably in the
Possessed by
Bible.
demons. Right.
Hmm.
Possessed by a demon. And that's what it feels like.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what it feels like. That's what all the hater conversation feels like.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, it's like, it's the heavy. I can't, I'm trying to give language
Hmm.
to how heavy it feels. And when you said how you couldn't open your curtains,
Hmm.
I get that. Like, I like for my door to be open, but in the morning. But if I'm feeling that kind of heavy, I need my door closed.
Mhm.
I need the curtains
Mhm.
closed. I need to be quiet. I'm kind of tiptoeing around the house. I don't want anybody to know I'm there.
Mhm.
I'm just there and heavy. And what about that piece where you feel like, or I don't know if you've ever felt like um I've exhausted the people to call.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
my depression is like, I don't know why you're gonna call Ebony Janice again,
Mhm.
because she really don't have time to be talking to you about this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
She really don't know. She really just, why are you keeping her from her day? You
Mhm.
already called her.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
already called her. And
Yeah.
what they gonna say?
Yeah.
What they don't have no pills to give you. They don't have, so it's that hater, it's like you don't want to call because you don't want to burden yourself on somebody.
Mhm.
You don't want to, you don't, because you just want to talk, and the people don't know what to say
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
you're talking to.
Yeah. Mhm.
They
And
don't know what to
and
say. They just,
the reason this is more to the reason why we got to continue to have conversations, just open, like just open forum discussion about mental health in our community, is because there is no language even for the people who you are calling. How do you call me to talk to me, or how do I call you to talk to you about what I'm going through without me trying to save you? That's not what I called you for.
I didn't.
I called you because I needed this. If I don't say this out of my mouth, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I just need this to be heard. But because we don't have conversation about it, there is no language even for me to be able to just listen to you for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and at the end of the conversation, say something. It don't even have to be nothing profound. I just need to know that you heard me, or that I heard you, whatever. And but that is a product of being from like this community that doesn't talk about something, so there is no language for it, number one. And then number two, we trying to save, like there's got to be something that can save you. Something can save you from this, when the reality is this, like you said, maybe something that you are just taking this medication for the rest of your life. And we build community and grow community around you that is available for being a sounding board, like BJ said, or hearing you or seeing you, or whatever that work is. When do you feel most supported, Jaha?
um on stage.
Hmm.
There's something about being able to talk to a group of people that I can't say to one person, or
Hmm.
something about being able to say something in a poem that I can't say to one person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can say it in a poem, and there's something about other black women in the audience that are like, yes, I know that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. That whole Me Too piece.
Mm-hmm.
And not just black women, because black men go through it too,
Mm-hmm.
and more are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when I feel supported. Um, I felt supported by my earlier doctor who left, who retired.
Mm-hmm.
She always, like, I felt gotten by her.
Mm-hmm.
Like she wasn't just shoving meds down my throat. We were
Mm-hmm.
a team. She was like, "You want this, and this is gonna make this happen. This is gonna make you feel like this." Like we really were a team. So when I'm able to, when I'm like times like this, like right now, I'm not depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can have a conversation about mental health without it being
Mm-hmm.
about me, like without it being
Mm-hmm.
about just, and so I just
Mm-hmm.
can't. And then,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not a conversation like that. Prayerfully, I can help somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So on stage a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I appreciate that. You said something that, and I'm gonna go ahead and get a benediction because we'll talk all day. But you said something about
You said benediction. I'm
yep.
so mad at you.
Hmm. When you're on stage,
Is
how
there one? Is there one?
I'm gonna do call to discipleship before we go. Um but about how when you're on stage and just other black women are like, you know, yes, that is actually one of my little sisters was just in the comment section. She is constantly bringing back this thing that I said a long time ago, and I've written about this and I've talked about this, about how there's something about black women's affirmation that is other than any other kind of affirmation. Like
True.
I can live off of a black woman's affirmation for a good strong
Yes.
month. Like especially an old black lady. If an old black woman tell me
Hmm.
I'm cute, I believe it, because old black ladies will tell you ugly without thinking twice. I don't like your hair like
Without.
that. I don't believe you like your hair like that. You need to grow some
Right.
hair. But if an old black lady tell you cute, you might be cute. You might actually be cute. So it's just something
Right.
about black women's affirmation. I appreciate this discussion because I feel like what it just reaffirms for me is that piece that we really just need to spend more time being able to see each other, and that feeling seen it's not curing what's going on internally, but at the very least it's like some balm for the moment. I need some pantyhose right now. I need to go to Walgreens to get some pantyhose right now. um so it's balm for the moment, and so I appreciate that, and I see you. We look alike right now,
Thank
so I
you.
certainly see you.
We do. Your glasses are dope.
Thank you. um so Jaha, I definitely am going to invite you back again soon to talk more,
Please do.
and we can go into just more depth about some other spaces that we just didn't even touch on. And I want to invite you to talk about several different things, because mental health is very important, but I see you as an expert in several different areas, um, for a lot of different reasons. Like I didn't even get the chance to really, because we just kind of delayed a little bit. I wanted to talk about how I know you, like really, really know you, and to properly give you your flowers for being the reason that I paint on walls, and like the free girls only. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. And the reason that I grow money by putting dimes in the water in the plant, and just everything about it.
Mm.
That's the truth. Like literally to this day, I wish my sister was on here, because she asked me recently, like, when you put the money in the water, does it grow actually? I'm like, you don't know nothing. You wasn't raised right. So
You was the
I wasn't raised right.
right.
My biological sister. So I
Right.
definitely appreciate you so much. I love you so much, and I absolutely will have you back again soon. And I should see you like in a couple weeks. I'll be in LA for Black Girl Mixtape LA.
All right.
Yep, yep,
What
yep.
are you going to be here for?
For Black Girl Mixtape LA, we're coming to LA. We'll be at USC on May 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. I'll make sure to get you details and specifics, but I would
All
love
right.
to see you. Love to see you for sure.
Cool. Cool. Okay, well, take care of yourself.
You too. I'll talk to you soon. Y'all be good.
Okay.
Bye.
Peace.